Okay, good morning class. So today we're looking at the grade 11 paper 1. The last video, the phone just cut out because of the memory. So that is now sorted. Let's go. We stop at question with graphs. So did we answer this question? So we said for which values of x? Which one is it? Oh. The value of x for which f of x over g of x has to be greater than or equal to 0. We said when something is greater than 0, it has to be positive. And when is something positive? When either both numerator and denominator is positive, or both is negative, because a negative divided by negative is also positive. So we went on to say, okay, so as you can see here, on both sides here, graph is positive, on both sides here the graph is negative. Not so. On the point beyond 5, you'll see one is positive, one is negative. So in other words, it's for the values for which x is less than 5. Okay. So we said, okay, so we said therefore x is less than or equal to 5. Why? Because there's an equal sign here. Remember that the denominator can never be equal to 0. Otherwise the sum will be undefined. So we check where g of x was 0 and g of x was 0 here. Okay, and that's why we omitted the negative 2. However, it can be 5 because at 5 the numerator will be 0. Okay. I think that wasn't in the last video then. Then in this question here we are told determine the value of t if 2x squared minus 6x minus 20 minus t has no real roots. Okay, now there's two ways of doing this, of course. Okay. Okay, so as I've indicated, there's two ways of doing this. But I get over the equal sign, change of color here. We have 2x squared minus 6x minus 20 must be equal to t. Now what do you notice about that? 2x squared minus 6x minus 20. It is the f of x, not so. So where f of x is equal to t. So t is basically a y value. Okay? So current, if you look at, if it speaks about the roots, it's speaking about the x-intercept. So what is the roots currently of the x-intercept? Is the roots are real or non-real? It's real. Okay? Is it equal or unequal? Unequal, most different. Okay, so they want to know has no real roots. So what does that mean? What does no real roots mean? Does not cut the x-axis. Not so. So in other words, if t is equal to 0, it's real. Anything more than 0, what do you notice? The roots will always be real. Not so. However, if t is here, on the turning point, what do you notice? The roots are equal. It's still real. But the two roots here became one root there. Can you see that, people? So the roots are real and equal. Can you see that? And what is the value of t at this point? T has to be negative 49 over 2. Can you see that? So here t is equal to negative 49 over 2. However, anything less than that, what do you notice? You will have no real roots. Can you see that, people? So in other words, t has to be less than negative 49 over 2. Okay. That's one way of looking at it. Okay. So he said, or you could have said Determine the values of the value of t if 2x squared minus 6x minus 20 minus t is equal to 0 has no real roots. So for no real roots, delta will be equal to negative. Delta has to be less than 0, not so. If we had to say equal roots, then delta is equal to 0. If we had to say real roots, delta is more than or equal to 0. If we had said real and unequal roots, delta is more than 0. Okay. If it only says real, the delta can be 0 or it can be greater than 0. Okay. So your discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac. So what's your b value? So negative 6 squared minus 4. Your a value is 2. And your c is negative 20 minus. Okay, that's what your c value. Multiply that out, I get 36. That's negative 8 times. What is negative 8 times 20? It's 160. Now 160 positive, and negative 8 times negative t is positive 18. Not so. So what is 160 plus 36? So 196. Okay, so that's going to be 196 plus 18. So what did you say? 4 non-real roots. What do we know for non-real roots? 4 non-real roots. What do we know? Delta is less than 0. So it's 196 plus 18 has to be less than 0. Okay. So we take it over the equal sign. So 18 has to be less than negative 196. T is equal to 196 divided by 8. It's negative 49 over 2. Okay. So there's two ways of doing the same sum. Okay, so no reason to get the sum wrong. Okay. And I'm sure there's a good couple of marks in it. How many marks was there? 2 marks. I think I was a bit... I should have given you at least 3 then. No, 4 is pushing it to me. Right, people, let's look at 5.2. Okay, so here we are given that p of x is equal to 3 into x minus a squared plus 3c squared minus a squared, where a and c are real. Without using a formula, give the minimum value of p of x in terms of a and c. So you all agree that this graph is smiling there, not so. There's a minimum value of where the curve's at, and x value of a. And your corresponding y value is 3c squared minus a squared. Where am I getting this from? Remember, if it's written in the form of y is equal to a into x minus p squared plus q, then if a is greater than 0, the graph is smiling, where's the minimum value, and your turning point is p and q. Of course, if a is greater than is less than 0, which means to say negative, graph has a maximum value at p and q. Not so. Now this p of x is written in that form. So of course that is the value at which the minimum or maximum value occur, because that is positive, it's a minimum, and that's the corresponding y value. So what is the question? Without using a formula, give the minimum value of p of x in terms of a and c, and that is of course 3c squared minus a squared. That's the answer that you're looking for. Then in 5.2.2, the question says express c in terms of a if p of x has equal roots. Okay, that's equal roots. What do we know about equal roots? For equal roots, what do we know? Delta is equal to 0. Okay, so people, so if delta is equal to 0, I first need to extract delta, not so. How do I do that? It must be in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. Not so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the story out here. So p of x is equal to 3x squared. That times 2 is going to give you negative 2ax times 3 is going to give you negative 6ax. Not so. And the last term squared is going to be positive a squared, so it's going to be positive 3a squared plus 3c squared minus a squared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add like terms. So I'm going to give you 3x squared minus 6ax plus 3a squared, no, 2a squared plus 3c squared. So what do we do now? So what's your a value? 3. Your b value? Negative 6a. And your c value is 2a squared plus 3c squared. Can you see that, people? So delta, which is b squared minus 4ac, of course, is equal to 0 by definition here. So what do we say? Negative 6a all squared minus 4a is 3 and c is 2a squared plus 3c squared. Is that correct? Alright, so let's carry on. So that's going to equal 0. So this is, of course, 36a squared minus 12 times 2 is negative 24a squared. Negative 12 times 3, negative 36 c squared equals 0. So of course this is going to give you 12a squared, not so? It's equal to 36c squared. So what's the question? Express c in terms of a. Okay? So you must make c the subject of the formula. Not so? So I divided by 36 both sides. So c squared is equal to a squared over 3. The square root thereof is plus minus the square root of a squared over 3, or plus minus a over the root of 3, or plus minus the root of 3a over 3. Is that correct? Alright. That is worth 4 marks. No? Is that only 4? Right. People, here in question 6, given that j of x is equal to a third to the exponent x minus 1 plus 2. The question says determine the y-intercept of j. Well, how do you calculate y-intercept? Let x equal to 0. So j of 0 is equal to a third to the 0 minus 1 plus 2. So it's going to be 3 plus 2 is 5. Okay, you all agree with that? Number 2. Write down the equation of asymptote of j. It's simple. Y is equal to. Okay. Now, I didn't ask us to work out the x-intercept. What? So the x-intercept probably won't exist to us. Yeah, it won't exist. Okay. Number 3. It says work out j of negative 1. So it's going to be a third raised to the negative 1 plus 2. That's going to give you. That is 5. No. Negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2. So it's negative 1 minus 1 plus 2. It's going to give you 9, 11. Is that correct? Yes. So this coordinate is negative 1 and 11. You probably will use that. Sketch to draw. Okay. It's now number 4. Okay, the business is above the x-axis. So drop that a bit. Throwing our asymptote first. Y is equal to 2. 2 is going to cut your y-intercept at 5. Is that correct? This is this calculation here. Your y-intercept. And if x is negative 1, y is 11. The graph is a decreasing exponential function. Okay. Let's take this business off here. Oops. Look at the next question. Next question says, .5. And I just pull this down. Question 6.5, we are told calculate the average gradient of j between x equal to -1 and x equal to 0. So if you look at where's x minus 1, so of course that point there, not so. And what is x is equal to 0? So on the y-intercept. So they want you to work out this average gradient here. Okay. So I don't need to substitute that into j because I already have that. So I got negative 1 and 11 and 0 and 1. So how do you work out average gradient? As we normally work out gradient. Okay. So if a gradient is f of b minus f of a minus b minus a. Okay, but you guys would we write y2 minus 1, y1 over x2 minus x2, you won't be penalized. Okay. But this will lead into a topic that we're going to do next year, which is calculus. Okay. Well, some of us are going to do next year. All of you are looking so much sad all of a sudden. So we say the average gradient, of course, equal to. Now, f of b and b forms a coordinate. B and f of b. So it's going to be 5 minus 11 over 0 minus minus 1. So 5 minus 11 is negative 6. Over 1 is negative 6. You see that, people? Or you could have said 11 minus 5 and minus 1 minus 0. So you have been still negative 6. Can you see that, people? Provided if you made that x1, that must be y1, x2, y2, or vice versa. What you also notice about the graph is decreasing. Not so. Hence, the gradient here. If they ask you to interpret this, what would it be? The graph is decreasing at the rate of 6 units between negative 1 and 0. No? Yes? Sorry? No. We are nice people, man. We try and give as much as we can. You guys don't want it so well. People, the question says determine the range of k. If k of x is equal to j of x minus 1 plus 4. So, what is the current range of f of x? Oh, sorry, of k of j of x. What's the current range? Y has to be greater than y5. Isn't the graph existing below 5 here? 2. Okay. So in other words, j of x's range is y is greater than 2 here. However, what effect does minus 1 have on this graph? So shift the graph 1 unit to the right, yes. Because it's negative, it moves 1 unit to the right. If that had to be positive, we'll move 1 unit to the left. So if this graph moves 1 unit to the right, then that's how the graph is going to look like. Not so. Now plus 4. What effect does this plus 4 have on the graph? It's going to move 4 units Okay, so this y is equal to 2. Also move 4 units up with this graph. And it moves to where y is equal to 6. So what's the range of that graph? Y must be greater than 6. Y must be greater than 60. Okay. Right, question 7. Here we are given g of x is equal to negative 1 over x plus 1 plus 2. What type of graph is that? Hyperbola graph. Write down the equation of axis of symmetry with a positive gradient. Okay. Let's write down the axis of symmetry with a positive gradient. Okay. So firstly, this will be in the form of y equals x plus c. Not so. But it's going through the point where the two asymptotes intersect. Not so. And that point, of course, is negative 1 and 2. Remember, the x will always have the additive inverse effect, whilst that will be exactly like it is. Not so. That's your vertical asymptote and your horizontal asymptote. So we have 2 is equal to negative 1 plus c, so c is equal to 3. So y is equal to x plus 3. That's what they were looking for there. What is the domain of g of x minus 3? So what is the domain of g of x? X is an element of all real numbers, but x is not equal to 3. But what happens to this graph? The graph is moving 3 units to the right. So in other words, this is going to be x is an element of all real numbers, x is not equal to 6. Now why did I say 3? X is an element of all real numbers, x is not equal to negative 1. Not so. And now it moves 3 units to the right. So x is equal to 2. Not equal to 2. People, for those of you who are a bit confused, if I'm here, I would have drawn this graph. Okay, they didn't ask us to draw the graph, but I would have drawn it on the side to give me some sense of what's happening. Okay. It's negative, so it lies in quadrant 2 and this quadrant. Okay, so that is, this would be minus 1. Okay, just to give me an idea. So what is the domain of this graph? X is an element of all real numbers, x is not equal to negative 1. But the graph is moving 3 units in the right direction, in the positive direction. So negative 1 plus 3 is going to be 2. So x cannot be equal to 2 for the asymptote. Okay. Next question, they ask you, of course, to show that is the case. I'll just pull this down here. And there's your what if, that is what g of x is. So this is what we call an identity. Okay, so you must let your left hand side equals the right hand side here. So let's go, the left hand side. What is g of x? G of x is negative 1 over x plus 1 plus 2. What is g of x? G of 1 over x. That means to say, wherever I see a x, I'm going to put a 1 over x. So it's minus 1. It's now plus, no? Minus 1 over x plus 1. I don't need that bracket here, no? Plus 2. So let's check here. So this is simply going to be minus 1 plus 2 over into x plus 1 all over x plus 1 plus, got a bracket there and so it's a long line, so it's going to be 1, the negative. I'm going to write the negative 1 time 1 over. What's the LCM in the denominator? X. Not so? So that is going to be multiplied by 1. It's going to be multiplied by x plus. So that now gives us minus 1 plus 2x plus 2 over x plus 1 minus, this whole take is reciprocal, 1 divided by 1 plus x over x can be written as 1 multiplied by x over 1 plus x, which is x plus 1 plus 2. Okay, so that now gives us, my LCM is x plus 1. So you got negative 1 plus 2x plus 2 minus x plus 2 into x plus 1. That's so. Normally I would have written out first, but I'm running out of space here. 2x plus 2. So what do I do now? Add like terms, not so. So that's going to give us 4 minus 1 is 3. Not so. 2x plus 2x is 4x minus x is 3x. And this over x plus 1. No? So what is common here on top? 3. So I'm left with x plus 1 over x plus 1. That cancels, leaves you with. So if I can prove that the right hand side is also 3, I've done the job. Not so? So, now let's look at the right hand side. So I'm going to pull this over a bit. The right hand side. So what did we say? What is x? G of x. G of x is negative 1 over x plus 1 plus 2. So g of negative 1 and 1 over 6. Wherever I see a x, I put a negative 1 over 6. Not so. So it's going to be negative 1 over negative 1 over 6. Negative 1 and 1 over 6 plus 1 plus 2. I could have substituted plus 2 minus 5. So this here is that part only. Okay? So from here I could have punched in the calculator, but it's fairly simple. So it's negative 1 minus 6 plus 2 minus 5. We could have added that there already. So negative divided by negative is positive. 6. So it's 1 multiplied by 6 over 1 minus 3, which is 3. So what do you notice? Which is equal to the left hand side. And we have just proven that identity now. Okay. That's fairly simple. Right, our favorite probability. So here we are told that the survey was conducted with 100 people. Survey was conducted with 100 people, which gives me that total. Consisting of adults and children, they were asked to choose their favorite Steri Sampi. You guys still drink Steri Sampi? Yeah, favorite. Steri Sampi flavor, choice of chocolate or toffee. Okay. The contingency table below contains the results from the survey. Some call this a two-way table. No? What is the value of A? So of course, A plus 19 plus 48 is going to give us, A plus 19 is going to give us 48. Not so. So let's just say 48 minus 19 gives us 29. Or you could have said 20 plus A is going to give you 49. No? So that's going to give you 29. Okay, there's no other unknown. Determine the probability of selecting at random a person that is either a child or likes. So it's a child who likes toffee. Either a child or likes toffee. So it's going to be a child, it's going to be 48 over 51. No, 100, sorry. Plus, the formula first, the probability of child or toffee, likes toffee, is going to be the probability of child plus the probability of toffee minus the intersection of the child intersection toffee. Okay, what? So there's an overlap there. Okay? So what's the probability of being into child? 48 over 100. Likes toffee, 51 over 100 minus 19 over 100. Okay. It's going to be 48 plus 51 minus 90. That's over 100. It's going to be 4 over 5. Okay. Or you can say 0.8 or 80%. Okay. Is that correct? Right. Then the question says, use a suitable calculation to determine if being a child and choosing toffee, steady stamping are independent events. So what do we know? What is independent? For independent events, what do we know about independent events? That the probability of A times the probability of B should be equal to the probability of A intersection B. But since we're talking about steady samples in children here, so we're going to go the probability of a child times the probability of likes toffee. If that is equal to the probability of child intersection toffee, then they are independent. And we had a discussion already about this when we did the section of what? So, we know that child intersection toffee is 19 over 100. Not so. So the probability of child intersection toffee is 19 over 100. So let's see what's the probability. This is if, no? So the probability of child times the probability of toffee. That was probability of child was 48 over 100 and likes toffee is 51 over 100. So 48 over 100 multiplied by 51 over 100. So 48 over 100 multiplied by 51 over 100. So it's 153 over 400 or 625. Is that the same? Huh? No, that is 19, 0.19. Okay, this is different. So we say since the probability is not equal. So the probability is not, the product is not equal. Therefore, events are not independent. Okay, well they are dependent on each other. Okay. Right, 8.2. There are 125 guests at the matric ball this year. All but 2 had something to drink during the course of the evening. So what does that mean? 2 had nothing to drink. Okay, 2 was probably fasting. Okay, I'm hoping they didn't bring their own drinks. There's a problem. Right. So 2 had none of the drinks on offer. In other words, that 2 were lying on the outside. So 125 guests, so 125 goes there. You sample. Okay. So we are told that 42 drank soda. That is 42, which means to say that plus that plus that plus that is 42. You all agree with that? How many is it? 42. 41 drank water. Something wrong with that 41? What did you then pay for? Would be the question, huh? 41 drank water. Okay, 48 drank their own. Huh. We never allowed that. 48 drank their own drinks only. So that means to say that 48 would lie here. Not so. Maybe they drink brood drinker pot. Let's think the best of people. Okay, so 48 drank their own drinks. Okay, oros. 11 people drank water and their own drink, which means to say water and their own drink. So 11 would be here. Can you see that, people? If it had said 11 people drank water and their own drinks only, then the 11 would come. Okay. 9 people drank soda and their own drink. So 9 will go across here. You see that? 3 people drank water, soda, and their own drink. So where did 3 go? In the middle. So this is 11 minus 3. Can't be 9. 8. 9 minus 3 is? Okay. Let X be the number of people who drank soda and water only. So that is X. Okay. Draw a Venn diagram showing the information above. So, you see this unknown here. Let's call that unknown soda. The blank soda pot. Okay. Plus 6 plus 3 plus X. These 4 parts adds up to 42. So the unknown soda part is going to be 42 minus 9. 42 minus 9. See, weekends isn't good for us. I'm going to give you 33 minus. Okay. Let's look at the next one. That unknown water. That blank water here. Plus 8 plus 3 plus X is equal to 41. Not so? So that unknown water, the blank water in terms of X, will be 41 minus 9 plus minus X. What's 41 minus 9? Sorry? 11. Sorry, my mistake. 30 minus X. Don't need to get upset. Okay, you all agree with that? So did I ask us to solve X here? No. If you want, you can solve X at this point. Okay, and you just bring it down to the next question. The next question says, determine the number of guests who drank soda and water only. So in other words, here they're asking you to solve for X. Not so. So what I say is, okay, this whole thing adds up to what? 42. So instead of saying 33 minus X plus 6 plus 9 plus X, I just say 42. 42 plus, so now all 4 of this are accounted for. 42 plus 30 minus X plus 8 plus 48 plus 2. All this here adds up to what? 125. You see that, people? So minus X is equal to, on the calculator we go, 125 minus, the answer should be negative, no? 2 minus 48 minus 8 minus 30 minus 42. Here's an answer of negative 5. You all agree with that? So therefore, X is equal to. So in other words, this here would be now 25, and that would be 28. Okay. Okay, the next question. What's the probability that the guest chosen at random will drink at least two of the choices? At least two. So in other words, with at least two, I'm going to consider everyone drinking two, plus the people drinking three. So if it is at least two, it can be more. Not so. So the probability there would be 6 plus 3 plus 5 plus 8. 6 plus 3 plus 5 plus 8. This is all over 125. Don't make a mistake. Okay? The 6 plus 3 plus 5 plus 8 is over 125. Gives us 22 over 125. Is that correct? Okay. Any confusion there? No? Last question. St. Susie and Herschel are about to play a hockey match. If it rains on the day, the probability that St. Susie will win is 0.45. So we always win them. We never ever play them. Okay, keep it that way. Okay. So if that's a win and no win. Sorry, rain and no rain. Okay, rain and no. So if it rains on the day, the probability that Susie wins is 0.45. And not rain, then what will it be? 0.55. Why? We add those two together, must get 1. Okay. If it is sunny on the day, the probability that St. Susie wins improves to 0.65. Looks like the St. Susie don't like the rain. Okay. So if it's sunny and not sunny. Okay. Oh, that's not right. Three diagrams long. Okay, so South Africa Weather Service predicts a 30% chance of rain. It is rain and no rain. Okay, so if it rains, 30% rain and no rain, 70%. If it rains, and the probability of St. Susie winning is? St. Susie winning? 0.45. If it does not rain, and not winning is 0.55. No? If it does not rain, the probability increases to the winning 0.65 and not winning 0.35. So in other words, my outcomes is rain, win, rain, not win. Not rain, win, not rain, not win. Okay, if they ask you to give the probabilities associated with the branches, this is what it means. If it talks about the outcomes, this is what it means. We talk about the probability associated with the branches as well as the outcomes, and you write both. Okay. But the question wasn't, it says use a tree diagram. So if it says use a tree diagram, then there's marks allocated to the tree diagram. Okay. So use a tree diagram to determine probability that the Herschel will win. So Herschel will win if St. Susie don't win. Not so. So in other words, okay, so Herschel winning would be 0.3 when rains times when sun says it does not wind. Not so. And when it rains and sun says it not wind. So to do the calculation, I don't know why I said no, so I will ask more why. But okay. So it's going to be the probability of raining and not winning plus the probability of not raining and not winning. This intersection. So raining is 0.3 times 0.55 plus 0.7 times 0.35. Okay, so 0.3 times 0.55 plus 0.7 times 0.35 is going to be 0.41%. Is that correct? Okay. Is there any confusion here? Bonus question. 9.1. Find the value for n for which 4 times 9 to the n minus 9 to the n is equal to 3 to the exponent 801. So firstly I can break this up into products of its prime factors. Okay? Or I could have taken 9 to the n out as a common factor first. So it's 4 minus 1. So equal to 3 to the 801. So that's going to give you 3. So divide by 3 both sides. This can be written as 3 squared. So it's 3 to the 2n is equal to 3 to the 801 minus 1 is 800. Not so. So therefore 2n is equal to 800. So n is equal to 1. Which makes the answer D. So not right. Where's that? And then the sum of B and C is equal to, if find the sum of B and C. If the equation x cubed plus bx equals C has two solutions. 2 and negative. So what does solutions mean? Values for x. Not some true values for x. So what I do is I substitute x is equal to 2 into here. So it's going to be 2 cubed plus b times 2 plus c equals c. So that is going to be a plus 2b is equal to c. That's equation 1. Now let's substitute x is equal to negative 3. So if I do that, it is going to be negative 3 cubed plus b times negative 3 equals c. So it's negative 27 minus 3b is equal to c. This is the equation. Okay. So as you can see, if c is equal to 8 plus 2b and c is equal to negative 27 minus 3b, I can equate these two. So 8 plus 2b is equal to negative 27 minus 3b. Take it over. It's going to give you 35. Is that correct? Is equal to minus 5b. So b is negative 7. So we substitute that back into 1. We will go with this here. So therefore c is equal to 8 plus 2 times negative 7, which is negative 14. What is 8 minus 14? Negative 6, I think. Is that correct? And then they ask you what is the sum of. So what does I do here? Add. So negative 7 plus minus 6. So they give you negative 13, which makes the answer B. Alright, so how was this paper? Fairly simple? Yes? Okay, nice. So this brings us to the end of this paper. Okay. We choose another paper to go through. Let's choose one quickly.